Hey everyone, this is Carbonite, and today we're bringing you our Flagburg deck profile. So this deck is purely the construction of Orion, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to him and let him explain his deck choices.
Alright, for ride line, we have Grade 0 Aurora, just our starter for the ride line, to help us assist with our Grade 1 Aurora, which is on place, it'll call out a plant token, as we just need for the early game rush, especially in going first or second. And then for Grade 2, you have the Grade 2 Aurora that allows us to retire one out of the rear and make 2 more tokens. This just helps us in setting up our early game and having at least 2 Grade 1 or less units in our board for our deck to play, at least. And then we have our Grade 3 Flagburg. Flagburg allows us to bring the big finisher to at the time it reaches turn 3 for our opponent to be wear down enough. As its effect states as when it attacks a Vanguard, it will apply the number of effects depending on the attacks that perform this turn. If it was 3 or more, we draw a card. If it's 4 or more, we retire 2 rears, and if it's 5 or more, it gets triple door and 10k, as this is sort of the final push we need for against our opponent when we reach turn 3. Alright, moving on to our main deck, our only Grade 3, Inlet Pulse, and just to note, we don't run Personas, as in case I think Personas are just too slow for Flagburg right now, especially just holding on to it, as our main goal is just to reach the cap at turn 3, and having Flagburg being the final push, because we conflict too many pieces with Flagburg overall, with how many cards we need to restand. And primarily, we only have one Inlet Pulse primarily, because as it feels it's just too bricky to have in the early game especially, and it's just generally just not good to hold on to more than at least once. As its effect is the first wave, it will, on attack, it will restand at the end of the battle, and then at the end of the turn, if we attack 4 more times, we draw a card, which is okay by itself, but more than once is kind of rough, especially if we draw into another Grade 3, of course. Alright, for our Grade 2 lineup, we have 4 Erics. Erics is just our general restander, as her effect states as at the battle it attacked a Vanguard at the second battle. If we have a stand Flagburg, it'll still lost 1 stand itself and get 5k. As this is just our general attacker for the deck, if we ever see it. And then for our Grade 2s, again, for our second one, we run 4 Zero Mode Rave Shooter. This is just generally just to tutor out the ride line, as we just don't want to ditch many pieces. As we just usually generally just ditch it, energy loss 3, and draw a card, because Flagburg does not use energy. And then our last line of Grade 2s, Ascendant Assault. Ascendant Assault's main effect we're after is mainly is at the end of the battle, when your other rear attacked, if we have Flagburg in name, we can count +1 restand this unit. This is generally our last attacker we have. These are technical 8 copies of restanders we need in Grade 2 lineup, if we don't see Eris. And now our Grade 1 lineup. We have, of course, our High Burst Rate Dragons. These are really important because they are one of the key cards for the deck to start up in first turn, or second turn. But primarily, on place, if we have a Flagburg name in Vanguard, we can give the ability to one other rear that, on attack, if it's the first battle, count +1 stand the unit. And this is really key in starting out the first turn, especially since Inlet Pulse is only active on Grade 3 turn. Now, our second Grade 1 lineup, we have 3 Yolendas. Yolendas is just the main key pusher of the deck in the Grade 1 turn, going second, as we generally just need to push our opponent down, especially with Yolenda's ability, where on boost, it'll retire 2 other Grade 1 or less units and draw a card, and the unit that's boosting gets 10k. This is generally important for when we need to early game rush with multiple Grade 1s, especially when it's swinging for 23 onto the Vanguard. It's really rough for your opponent to deal with. Next in our third Grade 1, we have 4 Battle Siren Furias. Her main skill are after is mainly at the beginning of battle phase. If you have a Grade 3 or a greater Tier Dragon, so lost 1, choose one of our units, and it gets the ability to, each time it attacks, gets 5k till the end of the turn. You also do use it for also the on-play skill for energy charge 2, because if we ever see 2 of them on the early game and no cyclers, we can energy blast 7 and draw 1 if we ever need to. And then next up, we also have our 2 other grade 1s, our Wavecraft Brave Shooters. These are generally just a tutor out for the Ascendant Assault we have in deck, because its on-play skill is +1, top 7 search for any Flagburg or Ascendant Assault card from among them and reveal it. If we don't see it, we just counter it. It's not a bad card because it's a grade 1, and it's generally good to have, especially if we need bodies on board, but it's generally better if we do have it on grade 2 turn. And then we have our second last 2 grade 1s, which is our cats. So the main skill we usually are after is the Soul Charge 2, choose one of your units, you get 5k. We do sometimes use it also for the 15k shield becomes, so that's in cases when we use the soul in the later game. And then finally, our last 2 grade 1s being our 2 Burrow Mushrooms. This is generally just to help Yolanda generate tokens so we can have the early game, as its main skill is that when it's put, we can put this unit to soul and call up to 2 plant tokens. And aside from it giving 5k to Graphia, we don't really care about that. It's mainly just to help generate Yolanda, as said earlier. Yep, of course, we have our 4 remaining grade 1s being our PGs, just 3 normal PGs in Sanctitude, and our trigger lineup being just, and our usual trigger lineup being, as said, 4 crits, another 4 we run usually of 8, and then 3 draws, and our usual 4 heals and 1 OT. Just usual. So the draws are just mainly just to help Fiber get its pieces, because this deck does suffer having to deal with getting its pieces back early, especially in the late game after turn 4. And then usually our 8 crits just to usually push for damage, especially on our 5th attack for Flagburg. Alright, this is here the test hand, so we'll just have our grade 0, draw 5. Generally you want to see more grade 1s here, so I'd rather just like check these 2, generally. But you usually do have this going second, so also check trigger. Cat's also really not important, because you don't really want to see that now in this early game right now. And we just draw 4, 3, 4. Yeah, you generally want to see these 2 also primarily in the deck, and then we'll shuffle. And then we'll play our hand, on the deck here for good measure, and then start a turn, draw 1. Okay, it's not too bad, so we'll pitch here. We're going second, of course. Let's give a good starter. Ride, we'll get a token. Of course, we'll usually just put this here. We'll draw 2. It's not my favorite, but it's still pretty fine. Usually we'll call. Usually the Alethea here. Call a Burrow, make 2 more tokens. And then we'll start with swinging in the rear here. Attack here. Swing 13. See if the letter guarded. Heal. Power here. And this will swing. And grade 2 turn, we usually on their first turn. Grade 2. Damage. Usually guard the ones that are too small and just take them bigger than that. And then start of our turn, we'll draw 1. And usually you usually won't see that many pieces soon after, especially when this deck gets stacked, so you usually just want to just trigger here. Ride. Higher grade 2 or grade 0. Call 2 more plant tokens. And then should they not haven't hit this, you should just keep on board, because most of these hope over numbers. 10, so 15 to ban. You see no guard. Crit. Crit here, power here. And then swing 18 and swing 20. And then grade 3 turn of them. Really just the weaker ones. Anything. Most likely probably I'll do 2 triggers here and just take the rest. Probably around 2 or 3. A heal. Do 1 and take 1 more. Restand and draw. So at this point they should be around 3 damage if we're able, if we pushed hard enough. And And then this is where the deck usually would function properly. So you would ride to Flagburg, swap the columns, call over the tokens, inlet pulse, the one you have, or any restand. Fill in any other tokens with the restanders you have, and then go to battle. Skill of Etheria, soul lost 1. It really is optional here in which you want to give. Generally, you want to give it to the rear that needs to swing first, so this will get the ability to swing. He gets 5k each time he swings, so 13 in the battle. 15. 13 again. Almost 1 for Ascendus this whole skill. Restand.
Yeah, let's go to the second attack.
Oh yeah, second attack. Sorry, my bad. I forgot to boost here. And then basically guard this. This is going to be 25. Then the fourth attack. And finally, count +1 on the fifth attack on Flagburg. Draw 1. Then this should be 28. And at this point, you should see a crit or something. Or trigger. No, not. Just wait on the turn. Discard as much as possible. Get it from the deck profile, and
Don't forget to tell us YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.